This production has been authorized, vetted, evaluated, and approved for your consumption by Wild LLC. You're welcome.
Hey, what's going on? We're back.
Hello.
We're back in studio.
Yeah, we're back. It's a brand new episode of the Opinion City podcast. I'm King Ralph. That's Parmesan. We are presented by Wild LLC, the best business in the business, and we are happy to be back here on screen.
Yes,
enjoying some time with you. And today's a special episode where we're going it alone today, just the two of us, because we want to talk about last night's epic event. It is Summerslam, the day after. Full disclosure, neither Sean nor I watched the show live. I was at a concert, and Sean, you were seeing Deadpool and Wolverine without any spoilers whatsoever. For those who have not seen it, your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
So good. A billion kajillion stars out of 5. Probably in my opinion one of the best MCU movies in quite a while.
Agreed.
I was so in my own world watching it. Like, I was with friends and I was with my brother, but I was just in my own world, just enjoying everything, just all of it. I was just like, yes. We saw it in IMAX too, which was even better. Just yes, all the yes. I couldn't wait to tell you after I saw it how excited I was that I watched it.
Yes. So I'm thinking that at some point we are probably going to have some sort of a discussion about that. Maybe the three of us will record a little little go at that and to give everybody our thoughts on that one. So it was a great movie. I enjoyed it as well. I don't even know how to describe it.
There's no words.
There's a lot to unpack there, but there's also a lot to unpack on our show today.
Yes.
So let's get started here, guys. You know the drill. If there is something that we enjoy talking about here, if there's something that we enjoy telling you about, it's this. It's 3 free and easy ways that you can support us. And let's take a look at those 3 free, easy ways. Number 1, hit that like button.
Hit it.
Just destroy that like button. Let us know that you enjoy what we're doing here.
Yes.
Hitting that like button really helps. It's a big deal for us to know that you guys are enjoying what we're doing. So please hit that like button. Number 2, smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Absolutely
destroy
it. Just, pretend you're Rhea Ripley going after Liv Morgan.
Right.
Just destroy it.
Yes.
And number 3, share
us out.
Share
us out.
Sharing is fun. Sharing is
caring. I was just gonna say sharing is caring.
So tell everybody tell everybody the things that you know.
Right.
Tell them that you love Opinion City. You love watching the show.
Yes.
Tell them. Let them know.
Yes.
While you're at it, if you'd like to go just a little bit further than those 3 free easy steps, we've got
the merch.
We've got lots of merch. We've got great merch, including that awesome Opinion City Wild LLC Let Us In logo.
Yes.
But there's more merch over there.
So much more.
Do not sleep on the fanny packs.
Yes.
Follow us at Opinion City Pod on all the socials and YouTube to see everything that we're doing. Follow at Wild_LLC to see everything that the bosses are doing. And of course, normally we tell you to follow and support the guests, but you know what? Today
support us.
So support us. We'd really enjoy it if you could really support us. It would be great. We love doing this for you guys. We love introducing you to wrestlers, and we love talking about things. So go ahead and support us. We would really appreciate it.
Appreciate.
All right. So before we get into SummerSlam, a few programming notes because things have changed up a little bit this weekend. Unfortunately, tomorrow night we had to cancel Chilling with the OC for the show after SummerSlam, but we've got
for a good reason.
We've got a good in fact,
for a good reason.
We've got a great reason because at 10:15 p.m. tomorrow night we are debuting the brand new Grappling with the Grooves
episode 1
music show. Episode 1 of Grappling with the Grooves. This will be our monthly music show where we talk about all things music with people from the professional wrestling world, and we have 2 very special guests this week.
2 this time.
For a round table. We've got Shay McCoy of the Outfielders Tag Team and Pro Wrestling fame, who is a huge music lover, going to concerts all the time.
Yes.
We've got our good friend Kenny Pete, who was on the very first episode of Wrestling with Life. And
he's also the producer of all the tunes you hear and the intros and the outros of all of our stuff.
He is the drummer from the Mystery Men, who have provided us graciously with tunage to use for our shows. While you're at it, this coming Friday, don't forget we've got Chilling with the Bros.
Chilling with a bro.
Well, Chilling with a bro. It's going to be an interesting night to say the least. There's a lot going on.
A lot of fallout.
We'll get into in a little bit. And then next Sunday, get excited for this one because not only is it awesome, it is dare I say world famous. Ladies and gentlemen, next week on our episode we are going to have our exclusive interview with world famous Cheeseburger.
Train never stops.
Yes, the man who is the head of the dojo.
Yes,
the Worldwide Dojo. He is the current Labor of Love Citywide champion.
Yes.
And we are super excited to talk to Cheeseburger.
Yes.
Now, while you're waiting for all these things to happen, there's something you can do. You can head over to our YouTube page and you can check out all of our videos from last week's. It would be last week's huge. Gigantic, massive Real Rumble 5 2 weeks ago. Where am I? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It's fine.
2 weeks ago. Royal Rumble 5 was a great event, and we got a number of interviews that you need to go over there and check out. So let's just run down the lineup here.
Yes.
We had an exclusive interview with the new owner of the Drive-In Theater, Virgil, who is a huge wrestling fan. He has told us that Real Rumble is the staff's favorite event every year.
Yes.
So we got an exclusive interview with Virgil.
Mm-hmm.
We also had an exclusive interview with our pal Jim Murray. He has
three time.
He has now become the infamous Jim Murray, who has been on our show 3 times now, and he is going to delight you with his stories of nachos and world traveling. So check out that interview. We also got to talk to Ben the Bean.
Who, fun fact, is the one that actually beat Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yes, and he is a current trainee at Catchpoint down in Philadelphia. So we were super excited to get a chance to talk to him. Mm-hmm. We also got to talk to our. We know for sure
one of them is definitely a boss.
We know that for sure. But we're not sure about the other one, but we got to talk to the Last Light, who they claim could possibly be a subsidiary of Wild LLC.
Right. But, we don't know.
We have the team of the upstanding Dylan Mesh and the rabid honey badger Ryan Mooney. So we got to talk to the 2 of them together. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen.
There's so much more.
We got to talk to Avery Good, professional wrestler, who at the time was getting ready to be Avery Good wrestling commentator.
Yes.
Because he does commentary for the LVAC. So Avery gave us some of his time. We were super excited to talk to him.
Yep.
We got to talk to the man himself, Big Dan Champion, who may or may not be retiring this year. May or may not be having his last match at Steel Stack SmackDown 3. We're not sure yet. It's possible. But we got a chance to talk to Big Dan. Always good to talk to him. For the second time in a row, we got to talk to our good friend Drew Gulak from from Catchpoint and former WWE superstar, former Chikara superstar, the Legal Eagle himself. Always a fun time talking to Drew. You will learn many things during this interview, including a brand new ant being added to the colony.
Yeah.
You will learn about. We won't ruin the surprise.
No surprises.
Watch the video. And then I have to say, and nothing against anybody else that we interviewed, because for us, every interview is important.
Was fantastic. Yes.
Are so thankful for anybody that gives us their time.
Appreciative.
But we've had two things that have been kind of, one of them was a bucket list of mine that I said from the very beginning, this is an interview I want. The other one has been a collective bucket list of ours. One half of a bucket list. We're working on the full bucket list. But we got an exclusive interview with Hallowicked, one of the most respected men in
legendary
the indie wrestling world. It was just so amazing to talk to Hallowicked. And then, if that wasn't good enough, a bucket list of mine that I have been waiting for forever, that we finally crossed off the list, ladies and gentlemen. We have an exclusive interview with Ultraman Black.
Oh.
I could not have been more excited.
So good.
So amazing.
So fun.
Yes. So head over to the YouTube channel, check all those videos out. They're currently up there now. They're playing, they're doing their thing. It's great. We love it. So please go over there and check that out. And with that, I think it's time that we get into the episode.
Let's get down to brass tacks.
There is a lot to unpack.
Lots to cover.
I have like 32 pages of notes.
I don't even know if it's pages. I just have notes I made.
I just want to say before we get started that this podcast is officially Judy Bagwell approved.
Oh God!
Did you see that sign in the crowd? Someone was holding a sign that said Judy Bagwell approved.
No, I didn't see that. I missed that.
Yes, that was very good. All right,
but we're gonna run down the matches. We're gonna go over everything. We're gonna give our thoughts on them. Of course, we are Opinion City.
Yes,
and just go over everything in order that happened, and a lot happened.
Yes. So. Yeah. Before we get into the card, though, I took some general notes here on SummerSlam itself that I want to just run down a few things that the show as a general I really kind of stood out to me. So of course I did not want to watch Jelly Roll's performance at the beginning, but Sonya made me.
Okay,
so I had to watch.
Is she a fan?
I think so. Yeah, because he does the country thing.
Right.
Country thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Nothing against Jelly Roll personally, just not my thing. But we watched it for her.
Of course.
So I noticed that Triple H cannot let the spotlight go. I mean, the man's got to be like, but of course neither can Steph. So we've got a pair of people that just can't let the spotlight go. Although I will say, it seems like in everything that they're doing, especially Triple H coming out and making the welcome to SummerSlam, it seems like they're trying to bring SummerSlam back to the major prominence that it used to have. And I think this is all leading into the 2-night deal in 2026.
Yes.
So they're trying to build it up. They're trying to make it more prominent. I did love the entranceway. I thought it was
absolutely
super rock and roll.
That was super cool.
Great. Everything they did, I thought was really good. The ref camera thing for me was an interesting concept that did not pay off.
I thought it was cool. Mainly during Rollins' entrance, because it was cool to see.
I mean, that
him walking out through his eyes.
But it's also a liability, because his fell off his pants, and then he had to untangle his from his head, throw it out of the ring, and then kick the box out of the ring so that nobody got hurt.
Right.
So it is a liability, and I don't think they used it to its full potential. I think the Rollins entrance was cool. Other than that, I didn't think it added much, but I do think that they were trying a lot of different and new camera angles.
Yeah, they were trying something new. Yeah.
I will say for the most part, it worked out. There were some that were a little wonky, and I'll bring that up in one specific match. But there were some that were a little wonky that didn't work out. But at least they're trying new things. Despite the humidity there, I did not feel like the Cleveland crowd was very hot. Now, they had their moments, and I'll talk about that during some of the matches. But honestly, for the most part, I thought they were kind of middle of the road. They got hot at times, but in general, I just didn't think the crowd was, especially for being at a Survivor Series, or I'm sorry, a SummerSlam.
At SummerSlam.
Being at a SummerSlam.
That's in a few months from now.
Yeah. So I just didn't think, that was, I just didn't think they were really, there were times where they seemed bored to me. I did like all the, well, I noticed that, we're doing all the ring advertisements now, especially on the canvas.
Of course.
I didn't necessarily mind them. They weren't like a huge distraction.
It wasn't,
all the ones they did around the ring too. Like I thought that might be more of a distraction than it was. However, I do think the humidity could have been a huge factor in certain things going on.
Right.
And I'll talk about that a little later too. I really enjoyed Pat and Corey together.
Yeah.
If they put Pat and Corey together, I think that would be the best combination of commentators they have right now.
Right.
And then I also really enjoyed the entrance graphics, the way they did like the graphics this year with like the name, and then they had like the different things. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
They came up with some really interesting facts based on certain things.
Yeah. So, which I saved all of them so we can go over them as each match comes up.
So just a few things I thought about the show in general.
All right. For me, I did the same thing, which is funny because we didn't even have this discussion. So like our minds just link up like that. But I did do a little overall thoughts about the show myself. One, which I think we've been waiting for quite some time, but after SummerSlam, to me, Judgment Day is effectively done. After SummerSlam, I think unless they figure out something on Raw tomorrow night, which we will not be going live for, but after everything that happened, which we'll get into more detail, I think the Judgment Day either needs to have a powwow, or I think they're just effectively, that's it, they're done. Also,
I have a different take on that, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I also find it interesting, and I enjoyed that both King of the Ring winners that won their King of the Ring matches did also win their respective matches. So it made it feel like the King of the Ring win was a big deal, and it wasn't just a one shot. 4 titles changed hands last night, which I think we both sort of predicted on both live streams as we ran down the cards both Monday and Friday. But whereas I think I mentioned it during the Mania thing, where Mania felt like the reset button, whereas this one for me felt like the reboot button. They hit reset at Mania, and then someone said, "All right, let's reboot it, change it up." And then the fact that I think we all knew was coming, and it ended up happening. We'll get into more detail later, but Reigns did in fact come back, and he is back as the OTG, the original. The OTB. No, the
OTC.
The OTC. Wow, all bad. The original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, is back.
So, interesting thing to note about SummerSlam, and I don't know if this is something that we've really seen before, but you had a 7-match card at SummerSlam, and one of them was not a title match.
Yeah,
that's insane to think about.
And it's also, I feel like that's the first time that they had, maybe not first because they've had so many shows, but I don't recall in recent memory them ever having a 7 an odd numbered match card. It's usually like maybe 6 or it's 8, but it's never an odd numbered match card.
Yeah, I don't really remember that either. Not really thinking about numbers, but just to me it was interesting because you had your first match, and then you had 3 matches in a row where titles were changed. Like it
was nuts.
It was crazy.
It was nuts this year.
Yeah. So let's hop into our first match.
Yep, start from the top.
And that was, we had Liv Morgan was defending her title against Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley coming back to get her revenge.
Yep.
To open the show, and that's a pretty hot match to open.
It was definitely a hot match. Yeah. So much happened. One of the gnarliest things that I think happened throughout of the night, of many things that happened, is Rhea, and it was obvious her shoulder popped out mid match, and you saw like the scar where it popped out, which was just. But when she slammed her shoulder into the table, I was like, dude, holy crap! she's got balls to just mid-match just screw it. And then when I guess when it happened again, she did it 2 more times on the turnbuckle, and I'm like, yo, you go. You go. Like she just didn't care.
Well,
didn't care. Like,
and it was interesting because if you look at, and again, things we'll get into, if you look at the first 3 matches, they all had shoulder spots. So
right.
I thought that was very interesting as well. I will say from the onset, I thought that the championship presentation that they do, where they kind of focus in on.
I love that Urban, camera.
And it's they're blurring it in the background, and then when they switch, they do the little challenger plate and the champion plate. I think that looks.
I love that.
Amazing.
I think I think when done right, because I think there was one pay-per-view where they tried
it. They
messed up, and then they just said, "All right, we're done."
Yeah.
But this time they had it much better down right, and I loved every second of it. I don't even know if it's probably like an 8K camera, whatever the hell camera it is, but like it looks so amazing in the ring when they're in the forefront, everybody else is in the background. I love it. So cool. I will say, as a non-Liv Morgan fan, not that I don't think she's a good wrestler, because I think she's great, but I've noticed a pattern now with her matches that maybe I have already noticed, and maybe you've noticed them too, that the other person pretty much beats her up the entire match, and then she gets in some shots and then wins. That's kind of just her method.
I don't necessarily feel like that happened in this match.
This match I thought was more even, but for the most part, I feel like she got beat up for the first half of the match, and then Dom sort of caused the distractions. But
I think what really happened here is that they used the shoulder angle as a way to make Liv look good in the ring, because I think that this is the best Liv has looked in a long time in her in-ring performance.
Agreed.
I think she had a great match against Rhea. I think that she got a lot of offense in when she needed to get offense in. She kind of spent a good part of the beginning of the match trying to avoid Liv.
Yes.
Avoid Rhea. And obviously that didn't work, but kind of putting taking the real life shoulder injury and using that as an angle in this match to make Liv look strong, I thought was really good.
It was probably the smartest thing that they could have done. Way
they had to do something.
Yeah, they had to make Liv look strong. And of course, the big thing that happened in the first big, I guess, swerve of the night is at first Rhea brought the chair in. No, I think Liv brought the chair in, and then Rhea was going to use it. And then Dom, I thought it was being smart, grabbed the chair and said, "Hey, you can't win this way. You're going to lose the title." And Rhea's guard went down. Then Liv came back. Dom caused the distraction to the ref. Liv hit the Oblivion on the chair. 1, 2, 3, and then after we thought maybe there was some misstep, they were on the sidelines and they kissed. Dom, being the dirty Dom he is, screwed Rhea out of the title, and still your women's champion, Liv Morgan.
So I want to go back to the match itself just for a minute before because there were two things that I noticed. One, these two were throwing headbutts at each other.
Oh, dude, the most ridiculous headbutts.
They were so intense. And then this was something that Michael Cole mentioned on commentary, but Rhea Ripley's ring awareness when she was going for the Riptide and Liv Morgan reversed it into a DDT.
Yeah.
And she sort of flung herself back, grabbing the rope to stop the DDT. I thought that ring awareness, it showed a lot, because I felt like Rhea maybe was, stepping up her game a little bit here. But yeah, so we get to again, this match really was about the ending and
yes, of course,
how things,
where was Dom's allegiance?
Yes. That, and interestingly enough, this is the one time during the show where we had a third wheel who I don't think was a distraction, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But it was kind of all about Dom. It was really it was checking out Dom's allegiance. Just where is he at? And we found out pretty quickly.
Yep.
Of course, we get the Judgment Day trying to find him later on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's gone, so that's going to be left to be decided tomorrow night. What all the outcome and the fallout from that is, but we'll talk about some more things with that fallout a little bit later. But we had our second of we had 4 in a row title matches. So this is our second title match with Captain Sweatpants himself, Sami Zayn, putting his Intercontinental title on the line against overcooked Braun Breaker. And let me tell you, so looking at this picture, and look at how intense Braun Breaker looks in that photo. That's how intense he was.
Oh, dude.
His moves in the ring were that intense, that screaming.
Yeah, they were so, he was, dude.
Yeah.
And I will say, because I have my notes here, the first thing I will say is one of the graphics that they put up that I found was interesting, as you were talking about earlier, is that this was only the second time a Steiner competed at SummerSlam. The last time it was the Steiner Brothers SummerSlam when they defeated the Heavenly Bodies for the tag team titles.
Mm-hmm.
It was only the second time that a Steiner had wrestled at SummerSlam for a title match. At least that's what they said in their graphic.
So that's that's an interesting fact. But think about this, that even blows my mind even more. That's Sami Zayn's first SummerSlam.
Oh, really? That was his first SummerSlam?
So they mentioned 2 things on commentary. They mentioned that was Sami's first SummerSlam, and they mentioned that Braun Breaker has headlined more NXT PLEs than any other NXT superstar.
Yeah, which is crazy as well.
So
2 crazy facts. Yeah.
Looking at Braun Breaker, there was possibly a Brian Pillman tribute in his gear.
Oh yeah.
With the color and the stripes. Now, Brian Pillman wore orange because that was the Cincinnati Bengals color, and
gotcha.
But I mean, obviously, Braun would not wear orange because that would go with the hometown crowd and all that stuff.
Yeah,
the Cleveland Browns are orange and all that and whatever, but that striping is almost identical to the striping that Brian Pillman wore on his gear in WCW. So I thought that was really
interesting.
Interesting being there, because Brian Pillman was from Ohio. Like that's a big deal. So
yeah,
I did notice that. Braun Breaker hit an early clothesline, a Steiner line that, I mean, just spun Sami Zayn around.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was just like ridiculously intense.
And that Frankensteiner off of the top rope that Braun did to Sami
was Frankensteiner
ridiculous. That I was like, wow, this man can do no wrong in my eyes after saying that. Because yes, he's a big dude and he can do power moves, but I wasn't expecting all of the high flying stuff he was doing too, like the no hand Frankensteiner, which was again just a ridiculous sight to see. I will say 2 things. I was kind of surprised with how fast that match was, given that they gave them so much time at Money in the Bank. I know they wanted to give Braun his big win at SummerSlam, but if that's the case, then why did you have them fight at Money in the Bank to have Braun get beaten, only to have him easily dispatch Sami Zayn on the second go around?
So he easily dispensed Sami Zayn, but I felt like at the beginning of the match there was a lot of offense from Sami Zayn, and it seemed like for a while there it seemed like Braun was kind of out of it, but then he so I kind of felt like, and I've been talking about this for some time now, that I feel like this Sami Zayn feud has been devaluing Braun Breaker, because we're made to believe that, like, because Sami Zayn is such a strategist that, he can find a way to get past Braun. I don't believe in any of that. Right. I think that that's been devaluing Braun. And honestly, up until the win, I felt like this match was devaluing Braun. Then when they gave him the win, I was like, okay, that makes everything all right, because we sacrificed a little bit of Braun, to get to this title win, so I was okay with it.
It was also the way he won those 2. Again, this out of any wrestler I've seen recently, that dude can bounce off the ropes the fastest, and he hit 2 of the fastest hitting spears back to back to get the win. And I was like, dude, this man, I don't know what he does, but like kudos to him for having the speed that he can do in that ring off those ropes. It's just ridiculous.
So bottom line, we get Braun Breaker, his first title on the main roster. He is now your new Intercontinental Champion.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see where that goes because I think Braun Breaker's a world champion.
Oh,
we all know this.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen.
For sure.
You know, this is just a first step in the road, but I'm interested to see if he gets a lengthy title run. He won't get a lengthy title run near as long as Gunther, but
no,
I would like to see him get a lengthy title run out of this, be able to do something with it. So
now early predictions other than Sami Zayn, who do you think they would have him have who do you think they would have his first opponent be to defend the belt if not Sami Zayn?
I would say possibly Sheamus, or because that would be a good first feud,
or Big Bronson Reed.
I don't know though. I don't think it's time for Bronson Reed yet.
Because I'm not saying to have him win. I'm saying
no. I'm not saying that either. I'm saying it's not time for him to have a feud. Braun Breaker needs people that
he can just beat up real quick. Yeah.
So we may go back to Ilya Dragunov. He may get a shot, but I think that Sheamus is a good one because then, you know, that gives Braun Breaker legitimacy.
Yeah, because he beat Sheamus.
I feel like when they put him against Bronson Reed, they're going to have to make Bronson Reed look just as good and just as strong as Braun Breaker. And I don't think it's time for that yet.
Right, I understand.
But I'm thinking maybe a Sheamus, or maybe they'll go back to Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, gotcha.
So next, and honestly, I will say, for me, LA Knight is pretty much the snooze of the night every night. However, I will say this was not a terrible match.
Not at all.
It was a pretty good match.
I loved that LA Knight came out first thing and destroyed that god ugly Prime truck.
Yeah, that was okay. You know, that was interesting. I did like Logan Paul's entrance.
MGK, the rapper, was just
MGK,
a security guard. That was just a surprise. I was like, oh, MGK. Yeah. Okay, welcome back to WWE after 9 years, because I feel like he didn't come back because he was scared that Owens was going to powerbomb him off the stage again. So he hid for like 9 years to not get powerbombed.
Well, but you also have to remember that he was involved in 2K22.
Right.
He was a playable character, and he curated the soundtrack. So
yes,
he's had some involvement with them. So I thought it was interesting to see him. I did like Logan Paul's gear. I thought his gear looked good.
I did make a note that I was digging his US ring gear. Now, very cool, very cool.
I will say this, and there are varying degrees of where this goes, but I will say that during LA Knight's entrance, the crowd could be easily described as meh.
As meh.
The crowd had like no interest in him whatsoever. And again, this goes back to me really kind of throwing this on the Cleveland crowd.
Because
the crowd was meh throughout the show, but that was not. I mean, if you listen to reactions when LA Knight's music hits on SmackDown as opposed to SummerSlam, they are vastly different. So that crowd was very kind of meh. Now, I do believe that later on in the match, they did start to really get behind LA Knight because they were doing like the LA Knight chants. Like they were. So it turned around a little bit, but to start off the match, like I thought that was very and I don't know if that's like a Cleveland thing because maybe because it did seem like there was a little bit of an allegiance for Logan Paul at times based on him being the
slightly,
hometown guy.
But then I also heard, and I'm so glad that they didn't have to censor this because they were on Peacock, but there was a lot of FU Logan chants in there as well.
Well, there were
a lot of FU Logan chants,
and that was
and it's his home crowd too, which is crazy. It was his hometown crowd, and they were like FU Logan. I'm like, all right, well, that's a nice swerve.
That's WWE and Logan Paul doing their jobs. Like,
exactly. If he isn't making you hate him, he isn't doing his job right. So kudos to them. Kudos to Logan.
And that's not the first time. Well, that's not the only time during the night we'll hear FU chants. I have some other
there's
I've noted.
But many FU chants.
The match started outside. Well, the bell didn't ring for quite some time because we had an
outside brawl
outside the ring, which was
LA Knight
really
with that crazy looking neck breaker off the announce table that did not break.
No, but interestingly enough, I said to Sonia later on the show, I'm like, that's why the table didn't break during the LA Knight match,
right? Because of what happens later on in the show, right?
So here's my thing. That move was great.
It was.
But when they tried a new camera angle where they put the camera behind the announce table as LA Knight was slamming Logan Paul's head onto the table, huge mistake. Horrible, because that looked horrible. You could visibly see that Logan Paul was putting his hands in front of his face, and his face got nowhere near the table. He was a good 3 to 4 inches from the table at least. It was extremely visible, and I thought, that's great that you're trying a new camera angle, but boy, did they mess that one up. It did not look good.
What they didn't miss was, I don't even know what they didn't even know what to call it, but that crazy superplex brainbuster that Knight did to Logan Paul was damn near perfect and just looked absolutely brutal the way they landed. It was wild. And that camera angle didn't miss because they hit everything. Everything. Wild.
I will say that there were a few moments in this match that really stood out for me. The Logan Paul split pin.
Yeah.
When we did the split. Now, I will say right now that I think that Logan Paul might go down as the most arrogant wrestler ever.
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Charts. Yeah. And that during that pin, it really stuck out to me. The LA Knight elbow drop off the top rope was really good. I thought. The springboard moonsault by Logan Paul
ridiculous.
Out of the ring. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And he walked it off.
So Sonia says to me, she's like, well, that's like Tiffy time. I'm like, listen, there's a big difference here, because when you're in the middle of that rope, you don't have the stability of the corner.
Yeah.
So for him to pull that off in the middle of the rope was nuts. Deal. And then of course we talked about the brain buster, which was just ridiculous. Logan Paul showing situational awareness when LA Knight went to hit the BFT and he grabbed the top rope. It's crazy. Logan Paul is so good.
I've been saying it forever. As much as I don't like the person, I can't not acknowledge his in-ring awareness.
Yeah, so he gets the brass knucks from MGK outside the ring, who had it on a chain around his neck. He hits the brass knucks, but obviously not the way he'd like to. He gets the little shot, which again, we have the brass knucks, but they don't work this time. LA Knight gets the win. LA Knight gets his Intercontinental title. Very US exciting title. Moment. I'm sorry, US title. Very exciting moment. The crowd to me was very half and half in this match, because there were moments where like it seemed like the crowd was behind Logan Paul at times. Then to me it was almost like the crowd was behind Logan Paul by just by the fact that they weren't really getting behind LA Knight. It was very weird.
Right. Yeah.
The crowd during this match. I don't know what was going on, but the crowd was very weird. After this match, and I wrote this down because I was like, the Manscaped shit was weird and unnecessary.
Yeah, dude, that was so. That was so weird, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I felt uncomfortable watching. I was like, what is happening on my screen right now? Yeah, that was unnecessary. Did not need to happen. I get that they have. I get that they have sponsors, but that wasn't that wasn't the way.
and part of it,
that wasn't the way.
This is an interesting thing. Part of it, I think, had to do with Otis, because in listening to conversations on Busted Open the last 2 weeks on the morning after Raw, people have been calling in both weeks from that were live at the show that night and saying that Otis got the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah.
So crowds at shows are ridiculously behind Otis.
Yeah.
So I can see why putting him in that commercial, because he's not in a match on SummerSlam,
right,
get him in there somehow, and it makes sense. So good for him. Baron Corbin just creeps me out. Well, him and Apollo Crews and like the whole thing is just weird.
Yeah, it was a weird moment, and I don't want to get too into it, so I think we should just get out of the way now before we get into the rest of the matches. But could we talk real quick, because it wasn't a match, but it was a segment between Miz and Truth as the hosts, and Theory and Waller came out to interrupt the hosts, and then my God, I don't know who helped him, where he went, if he was at the front center or not, but I just have to comment, that one-handed chokeslam by Jelly Roll was insane.
I have to hang on. I have notes on that. I have one note.
It surprised me how much height he got. The one hand, I was slightly impressed by the height he got off of Theory.
So I wrote down one-handed choke slam, and right after it I wrote down Jelly Roll needs to be a wrestler.
Dude,
that's all I wrote down.
He just I didn't know what to expect. Because I saw him grab the chair, right, and he hit it on Waller in Theory. But then when he went for the choke slam, I'm like, there's no way, and he just one-handed, and I'm like, bro,
that was so good.
Ridiculous.
That man needs to wrestle. All right. So we're moving on
to match number 3.
Third title match in a row. We have the role model Bayley defending her title against Queen of the Ring Nia Jax,
which she actually wore her crown to the ring, and I thought it was a new and it looked like a new crown.
It was
that she wore to the ring.
Crown. So I do have something to say about the crown. Well, I actually have something to say about her gear and the crown, because I feel like Nia Jax gear, even though it was silver, it gave me a very Black Panther vibe.
Yes.
Because it had that thing at the top that looked like... So it gave me a very Black Panther vibe. Now, Nia Jax crown, and this is... Some people won't remember this because they're not old enough to remember this, but I will say,
boy.
I will say the Nia Jax crown reminded me of Transformers the movie, the cartoon movie from the 80s.
Yes.
There is a scene in that after Starscream believes that Megatron is dead, he crowns himself the new leader of the Decepticons only to find Galvatron come to destroy him. The crown that he puts on, the crown that Nia Jax was wearing, reminded me of that Starscream crown.
Absolutely.
I was like,
now that you mention that, exactly. It makes the most sense. Exactly.
And I did enjoy Bayley's her jacket she wore to the ring.
Yes,
Macho Man.
It was very much Macho Man
favorites. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't have too much on this because I was watching in and out because I was not that I didn't want to watch the match. I did, but part of me felt the outcome coming a mile away, so I was a little bit burdened by I know what's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, but I know it's going to happen. But I will say there was a Tiffany Stratton failed cash-in attempt. She didn't even really try. She got knocked down before she could even cash in the briefcase. But can we talk about Bayley's strength? That power bomb on Nia Jax.
So
holy crap!
I do have some notes on this match because I did. And Bayley's strength is unbelievable.
That power bomb was. Dude, she held her up for must have been at least 5 seconds before she dropped her. She was up, and then she oh my God.
So in addition to Bayley's strength, I made note that I really enjoyed this match because I thought Nia Jax in this match really wrestled what we would consider a big man style.
Yes, absolutely.
Using her size and strength to her advantage. I felt she wrestled a great match.
Yes.
I really did enjoy this match. I was very torn because anybody that knows me knows that I'm the hugest Bayley fan. I was a Bayley fan from day one, and
he's a Bayley buddy.
Before she left, before she left NXT, I was saying she needed to turn heel.
Yes.
And when she finally turned heel, it was freaking amazing.
It was awesome.
And they turned her face at the right time, brought her back, gave her this title run. So I was kind of torn because during the match, I said to Sonia, I'm like, I really want to see Bayley win, but I also want to see what it looks like when Nia Jax gets the title and we have an unstoppable monster just running over women, because we have not had that.
And that needs to be. That needs to be where she goes now. Is now that she's champion, and now this is her second time as champion. Now that you need to treat her like the dominant force that she is, and I have her go on an unstoppable reign.
And I think that they will, because the The ending of this match, I wrote down effing brutal because you two power bombs followed by 2 annihilators.
Yeah, nuts.
Like, listen, I think that is showing that she is going to be like that kind of a brutal champion, and I'm really interested to see the dynamic between her and Princess Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, Stratton, who has the briefcase. I
wrote down Tiffany's cash-in was a cunning ruse.
Right.
Celebrated in the ring afterwards.
Yep.
Nia Jax made Tiffany promise she wouldn't cash in. Yep. And Tiffany comes running down, and it's like, oh, ha, 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 we got one over on Bayley.
Yeah, but that's what makes me excited, because now, like you said, it is Princess Tiffany Stratton, but now Nia is going to be always looking over her shoulder, thinking, when is Tiffany Stratton going to try it on me, even though she promised that she wouldn't.
The one thing I will say about this match is I felt it was too long. I felt there was too much going on. I felt like we could have. I felt like, even though, again, Nia Jax wrestling a big man style.
Yes, very big man style.
I felt like the pacing could have been better. I thought we could have moved that. They even mentioned during the match that Nia Jax was wasting time pandering to the crowd.
Right.
So I felt like this match was a little too long for my taste, but it was a good match, and I'm, as much as I hate Bayley losing the title already, I'm really looking to see where this goes with Nia Jax as this unstoppable monster.
Yeah.
That brings us to our next match, and there's a lot to unpack from this one. We had CM Punk finally cleared to wrestle. Drew McIntyre finally ready to whoop some ass.
And boy, did he whoop some ass. There's the graphic.
Seth freaking Rollins. Oh,
if that face says anything about Drew, he definitely kicked some major behind. And did you notice the ring gear? Did you notice the throwback of the ring gear?
So that was his Bret Hart tribute gear.
No,
like that was CM Punk.
Yeah, no, yeah. So if you looked at all of their gear, it was pretty much a tribute to SummerSlam '97 with Bret Hart versus Taker, with Michaels as the special guest referee. If you watch Drew come out, he had the same sort of blocked off Taker gear,
because they mentioned '97 during the match.
Yeah, and then CM Punk with the Bret Hart looking trunks, and then the knee pads, and then Rollins, even though it was blinged out, Rollins had the no sleeve ref gear saying that Michaels out. So I think the whole thing was a big ode or nod to that match.
I think that Seth looked a lot better than he did Monday night.
Yes.
Because I saw a lot of comments online where people were saying that, even Dave Meltzer came out and mentioned it, that they felt that, Seth Rollins, with what he wore on Monday night, was kind of making a joke of this match.
Right.
And I thought he looked much better.
Did
you notice as he was walking to the ring, Michael Cole made a Beetlejuice comment?
Yes, he did. And it was, and I was dying. I was like, that's a great one-liner that he said. But yeah,
so Seth definitely looking better than Monday night. And Drew's gear was pretty badass.
It was very cool.
The gloves, it was very. There were parts of it that, like, the green kind of looked like snake skin.
Yeah.
The gloves were great. I loved the little trim on the jacket at the top with green as well. I thought that was very cool. And then, of course, Punk wearing his Bret Hart gear. I mean, come on. That's where you know that, like, not only is Punk taking this feud very seriously, but this match with Drew with him had to be a special match for him to
bring out the Bret Hart gear, right?
Because I explained to Sonia that was the Bret Hart gear, and then I talked about all the Hart Foundation stuff he did with FTR and AEW.
Yeah.
Which, is now kind of bleeding into, and I did really like I liked Punk's hoodie that he was wearing. That best in the world graphic on the back
looks very good. Looks very good.
One of the best in the world graphics.
Yeah, it looked very cool. I loved the whole concept that they kind of almost. I would have to watch that match back now just to watch the SummerSlam '97 match, but a lot of the things that they did were nods to the match, like even down to certain moves, certain sequences. There was the sequence with Rollins and Punk going at it. and like that whole tease where with the chair, how that same thing happened with Michaels, Brett, and Taker with the chair. Like I appreciate when wrestlers get together to build matches and they're like, hey, let's do an ode to this match and throw it back. I love that they can bring those back in but still have an original match, but being able to take things and make little like tributes to an older match.
They basically did everything but the ending.
Yeah, right.
Because the ending of the 97 match was freaking phenomenal. With Shawn Michaels going to super kick Bret Hart, and he super kicks Undertaker.
Yep.
Bret Hart goes for the pin, and Shawn Michaels knows he has to count the pin.
Yep.
But that brings me back to Seth during this match, and despite everything that Seth said on Monday night, despite everything he did in the ring, Seth Rollins counted those pins.
Yep.
Like, he did not screw around when it came to the pinfalls. He actually counted the pins.
Yep.
Everything else, he was just like, laying on the ring.
Yeah. He was just, for the most part, he said he was going to chill and do what he wants. But when it came to
I think he
three
got
count,
to three.
Like
when he was counting outside the ring, I think he got to 3 and then stopped.
And then just gave up. He was like, I'm done.
It took him like to a count of 40 to get to 3, though.
Right. Yeah.
Now, we mentioned earlier about a third wheel not being a distraction, and I have been saying this from the beginning, that I felt that Seth's involvement in this was going to be a distraction from the CM Punk Drew McIntyre of it all. And I feel like this match kind of showed that a little bit, because here you have the match was extremely brutal outside of the ring. So you have CM Punk, who is taking Drew McIntyre's head and just slamming it into the ring stairs.
Yeah.
Then you have Drew, who is picking up CM Punk almost like a giant swing and throwing him into the announce table. And then, of the entire night, this was the most brutal move that I think I saw, when Drew McIntyre did the slingshot to CM Punk into the middle of the ring.
Oh, yeah.
That was the most brutal. That was insane.
Yeah, dude. That whole match was brutal.
But here they are. They're going at each other brutal outside the ring, and what's the crowd doing? They're singing Seth Rollins' song.
Right.
So that's where I think that like Seth in this was a bit of a distraction.
Yeah, right. There was the distraction that, as I mentioned before, the Rollins and Punk spat, which eventually did lead to Punk having enough and giving Rollins a GTS. Mm-hmm. And this is where I sort of think that they did call back to the SummerSlam 97 match, because of the way they didn't do the exact ending, but the way it ended after Rollins was down. Punk turned around to Drew. Drew gave him the low blow.
Right.
Did the Claymore, and you can see Rollins almost didn't want to count the 3 fall.
The Rollins part of it, it was very much same vein.
He hit the 1-2, but he was very reluctant to hit the 3, even though he knew he had to, because the match was over. It was done. So
Seth Rollins was one of the problems I feel with this match, even though it was a great match, and it was a great match.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was the perfect way for this first match in the feud to go, because we know that this feud is going to continue, because now. Because now CM Punk he's got his issues with Drew McIntyre, because Drew still has the bracelet, but now he's got problems with Seth Rollins too, because he was all in Seth Rollins' face after Seth Rollins picked up the bracelet. So I think it was a perfect way to go. But my other problem with this match was that I feel like the crowd was 50-50 on this match, because you could hear the crowd chanting the 3-2-1 with Drew when he was going to kick CM Punk, but you could also hear the crowd in it for CM Punk. So
I think part of that isn't so much that they're on anybody's side, is that fans love to follow fan tropes. So no matter who it is, no matter what it is, like anybody who has a calling or a call out, the fans just want to be in it. So the 3-2-1, the Roman Reigns is ooh-ah, the Sheamus's bro with his chest, everyone just wants to be a part of the action. So I don't know if that's so much taking sides, or they just want to be in on the chant.
I see it a little differently, because I feel from the beginning of this, we've had a problem where we have not been clearly shown who to chant or who to cheer for. We don't know who the good guy is, and we don't know who the bad guy is, because, you've got Drew, who's stealing the bracelet, beating up CM Punk, as we saw, which was voted the moment of the summer.
Right.
Drew just destroying CM Punk and leaving him laying in a, bleeding on the stage.
Yep.
But then you've also got Drew McIntyre, who's got, screwed by CM Punk 2 times now out of title opportunities and out of the actual title. So, and their promos have not helped to tell us who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Like, we're just following like previous allegiances. So my wife is a big Drew McIntyre fan.
Right.
She's going to go with Drew McIntyre. People like you're a big CM Punk fan, so you're going to tend to go with CM Punk. But like, people don't know who to cheer and who to boo, and I don't think they've done a real good job of putting that together. And I think the waters are still a little murky even now because.
But I will say that I think at first I said on a Raw that I thought Punk was going to win because it made sense, but then watching how it happened made more sense to me that Drew won because of how many times Punk screwed him over, how many losses he's had the last 2-3 months. He needed this W. I think more than Punk needed this W, even though it was his first match back in like 10 years. Yeah, in a singles match.
Well, and that's like saying the exact same thing as like they didn't need a title for this match to be important.
Yeah,
it was the last match before the 2 world title matches. It's like it's getting its due. It's getting its importance. This feud is getting its importance.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I did say that I thought Punk looked really good for his first match back.
He did. He looked
really good.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready. He looked like he trained well. He was prepared. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to see him back. Happy to see him. Not injured, ready to go.
Now this was the match where I thought the camera angles got a little wonky because there were a few camera angles that didn't go as well as I think they planned. There was one camera angle that was coming up almost from the crowd up to it was like the hard cam side of the ring with the hard cam behind them, and it was like a different color tone than the rest of it. You saw that they like had it on for 4 or 5 seconds and then they cut to another camera, but you could tell that it was completely like a different color angle. Now, I did want to mention, and I think I missed this in one of our previous matches. There was it was during the Bayley and Nia Jax match.
Okay.
And this was a little concerning to me. They showed the ring, but they showed it from the hard cam side. So they showed the seats in the hard cam side.
Right.
And it was like half empty.
Right.
I was like, that's really weird. Like for a SummerSlam pay-per-view to have, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, some people don't always go for the women's matches, or that's when they go get like their beer,
right.
But that's a lot of people to be missing, especially for Bayley and Nia Jax, because I feel like that's a match that kind of, goes above and beyond. I did find it interesting because I really enjoyed the Drew and Seth match.
Same.
Drew and Seth and CM Punk. I thought it was great.
Me too.
I thought it was a banger of a match. There was a moment in the ring at the very end, and I wrote this down because I thought this was so freaking brilliant, where Seth Rollins said to CM Punk, this was during the bracelet exchange, said, "It ain't always about you."
Yeah.
Then after he does the go to sleep and he gets the bracelet back, he says to Rollins, and you can hear this clearly, he says, "It ain't always about me, but it ain't about you."
Yep.
I thought that was
a great line.
Brilliant.
Great line.
That's how I felt about the match.
It's not about you. It's exactly.
Now
100%.
I think at this point they need to have a ladder match for the bracelet.
Yes, I would absolutely. Yes, bracelet on a pole match gets you. What's that?
But following is a ladder match for the custody of the bracelet.
But the twist is you have Judy Bagwell be the one that has the bracelet in her hand.
Geez, here we go. I don't even know if Judy Bagwell's still alive. I mean,
Judy Bagwell holding wearing the bracelet, and in order to you have to get her down, then take it off her wrist. Anyway, we had the Damian Priest match was up next versus Gunther. And as we have been saying, I will show the graphic because it's always fancy, and just look at how astute Gunther is, because he knows what we knew, what we all should have known, that he is now your new World Heavyweight Champion.
As soon as the match was over, I wrote down Gunther wins, and I told Sonya, I was like, I put 4 exclamation points after.
You're like, it needs extra emphasis because we were all hyping it.
So
we knew it was time. And my God, it was such a good match. I loved it. I loved, again, that they made the King of the Ring matches felt important enough to where both of them had to win their matches at SummerSlam.
So this match for me, this match was summed up for me before the match even started. As Gunther was walking to the ring, Corey Graves Corey Graves is the guy that makes a lot of people don't like Corey Graves, but I think Corey Graves is the future of WWE.
Oh, I think he's a great commentator.
If he's staying, because we know that there's been cryptic messages online about, because he wants to wrestle again, and I don't think WWE wants to.
He's been cleared, so
stuff, I don't think they want to use him. So
no.
I don't think he's happy about that, but he's a great commentator. And he said, as Gunther was walking to the ring, he said, I believe he is the best professional wrestler walking the earth today. And I thought that is such
a who's gonna deny it? Who wants to deny it? Who's gonna tell him to his face without risking a black and blue chest that he is not one of the greatest? Again, we have mentioned it on live streams. He has had more titles in the main roster active than not active. So it was only a matter of time before he won another belt to be active once again.
So here's an interesting thing, because you mentioned, black and blue chest. Gunther's chest, starting off the match, still looked bad from Monday night.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we got to the point where, like, I would say that Gunther was bleeding profusely from the chest, because a chest can't really bleed. I don't think, like, it was profuse for a like smacking chest.
Yeah,
like, it was at one point. He was rubbed it on his head. Like,
he's just nuts. I love it. I love how as much as a professional and consummate he is on the mic, and the way he talks and the way he talks with his opponents. When he's in the ring, he holds no punches. He holds no shots. Be prepared to be extremely hurt throughout the matchup.
Yes.
And Gunther was not mincing words the entire match. He was busted open early, like you said.
And the match started off just as you thought it would, with brutal shots in the opening.
Absolutely brutal.
That literal first punch from Damian was akin to the first punch on Monday night when he walked in the ring and just threw the mic and punched him.
Yeah,
like, it was insane. But the opening moments of the contest just like set the tone for the whole match.
Yeah,
it was just brutal from beginning to end. Both guys looked very strong in this.
Very strong.
Both got a lot of offense in, and honestly, I think that match was probably, for me, I would say that's the best Priest has looked as a champion.
Right.
The strongest that he's looked, but I think that may have been brought out by having such a strong challenger, the level of So they even talked about it during the match about Priest stepping up his game and doing some things he hadn't done before. But they both looked amazing during this match. Like, they both got a lot of offense in. They both look good. And Gunther throws the most brutal lariats I've seen.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Like, it is the reincarnation of JBL.
Seriously, he's just like, people have said online, I think, and even for a while, when he got in shape and lost all the weight, that they were concerned that the chops wouldn't hit the same. Boy, were they wrong. The chops, I think, hit now more than ever.
Yeah.
Now that he's even in probably the best shape of his life, the dude. There was that one shot where Corey Graves even commented that sounded like a gunshot or a firework.
Yeah.
In the arena.
Yeah.
That's how loud the one chop was. It was just ridiculous. But the big surprise of this match, which they alluded to earlier in a segment, was Finn Balor being the one to cost Damian the matchup, turning on his former brother, Damian. I knew something was going to happen, but I wasn't expecting Finn until I've seen the few teases on Raw the last few weeks, and then how Finn offered to help him out, but then said, I got your back, and then they didn't. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited to see where the Finn and Damian feud goes now, which again, this is another feud where they don't think the belt needs to be involved.
Yeah.
It's a no belt feud. It's just friends turn enemies, and that's it.
Well, here's and you had mentioned earlier about, in taking general notes about SummerSlam, that you felt like this was the destruction of the Judgment Day. So here's where I think we're heading. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited because I think I've been calling this for weeks now.
Right.
I said that to Sonia downstairs while we were watching. I'm like, I've been calling this for weeks. I think what's going to happen is this is not really going to be the destruction of the Judgment Day. I think it's going to be a changing of the guard, because I think that Finn Balor, now here's the thing. So we've seen Damian, we've seen Dominic, we've seen Finn. We don't know where JD lies in all of this.
Right.
We don't know where, well, we kind of know where Carlito lies in all of this, because he's just going to go wherever they go. But
right.
I think that what we're going to see here is we're going to see that the Judgment Day has altogether decided to make the switch.
Yeah.
They're all behind Liv Morgan now.
Right.
Liv Morgan will be leading this new version of the Judgment Day with Dom and Finn and JD and Carlito, and maybe she'll bring R-Truth in. Who knows?
Right.
But I think we're also gonna learn that, like, Damian and Rhea are going to be together because they have been in contact with each other throughout this whole thing. We've seen Damian making the phone calls on Raw. We know that he's been calling Rhea because he's made it clear to Dom that there's that he knows what's going on. Like when Dom tells him, yeah, I talked to Rhea, and he's like, oh yeah, really? You talked to Rhea?
Yeah.
Like, we've got a couple comments.
I was going to say, I was just going to bring that up. Normally, now this is a live podcast, but we do audio format, so we don't answer and read everyone's message, but we do see you. So hello to all. Thank you for listening. But I will say, one of our listeners, Diamond Pig, said there could be 2 Judgment Days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an interesting concept.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a possibility, because I think if it goes in that direction, if we have Liv like kind of rallying those troops together, I feel like Rhea and Damian are gonna need backup somewhere.
Right.
So they're gonna have to regroup. We may not see Rhea and Damian, we may not see something for a little while. It may be where
they may just go away for a minute,
TV for a little bit, and then they come back with a new group.
Yep.
That could be even stronger than the original Judgment Day. So we appreciate the comments. We want to thank everybody who is watching, who is commenting. We want you to know that we see all your comments. We love your comments. We love having you guys interact with us. We do a lot more of this interacting over on the Chilling with the OC on Monday nights, and then Chilling with the Bros on Friday. So please be sure to check those out. Hop over there.
Yes.
We will be extremely immersive and interactive there.
Yes.
So please check us out on Mondays and Fridays. That was just a tremendous match all in all.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very well done.
I agree.
Yeah, and of course it's Gunther's time. Gunther celebrated.
It is
he
Gunther.
Got up on the announce table like it.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've been waiting for this. I'm so excited for him. I'm so happy for him. He deserves all the accolades and then some. It is the reign of Gunther has begun, but that also brings us to the main event of the night.
Yes.
Bloodline Rules, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, the self-appointed tribal chief of the night. And they put out all the stops for this match as any Bloodline match would do. But they literally went above and beyond. We saw returns, we saw comebacks, we saw the big return that we'll get to in a little bit. But
let's start at the very beginning. So
let's deep dive.
We have Solo's entrance. Solo comes out by himself.
By himself.
By the Bloodline.
Yes.
Wearing the Ulafala, talking, just the whole 9 yards.
Yep, the whole thing.
Everything doing it all by himself. So we know it's Bloodline Rules, so we know we're going to see them eventually. But
of course.
I believe it was Corey Graves even made a comment like, was it wise for Solo to be coming out by himself to start off?
Yeah.
So we get Solo's entrance. Then we get to Cody's entrance, and Cody's entrance is very interesting for a number of reasons. First off, we start in his tour bus. And Cody's sitting there, and he's wearing just a normal jacket. It's got like a WWE logo on the back. It's got Raw, SmackDown, and NXT on the back, and you can tell that it's a bit of an old school, like the Raw, the SmackDown, the NXT.
Yep.
So he comes out of the bus, and there waiting for him is his dog Pharaoh.
Yep. Which they made a big deal about because this, he's getting up there in age. He's 13, so this is his last time that he's going to be able to go on a tour with Cody before
Cody posted
this
on his Instagram a few days ago that he's ready to lead a more comfortable, stable home life, and so he will no longer be traveling with Cody. So Cody walked through the backstage with him. At one point he stopped and he got down on a knee and said something to Pharaoh and gave Pharaoh a kiss, and so as he was walking to where he was going with Pharaoh, we see a huge
first surprise of many. The first surprise of many.
Arn Anderson.
Yes. Old
Arn Anderson, who was in AEW, who was the Nightmare Family's manager in AEW, who Cody has a long-standing relationship, not only because of that, but because of the relationship between Arn and his father, Dusty. So Arn Anderson back in the WWE fold, standing back there, being Arn as you could possibly be, talking to Cody about you've got some young Samoans pissed off, and you've got to watch your back and all these things. And so he drops the knowledge to him, so I did what I do. I snaked my way into some of the WWE locker rooms, made some calls, and you have some backups, some that some that you don't. So planting the seed right there that
early on,
going to see a return.
And
so Cody,
I've been saying it for a while is on how with AEW I love that AEW would take storylines from everybody else and bring them in. It seemed like, at least in this instance, they brought in some of the story from AEW with Arn Anderson into the WWE fold, because who was his manager the entire time he was there was Arn Anderson. So it was kind of like a nice little callback in a way to AEW without saying AEW.
Yes, I think it's interesting how they use different pieces of Cody in different places. Like they used Brandy at Mania. So now we're here at SummerSlam, and it's the big event of the summer. So they bring out Arn Anderson. So then as Cody leaves Arn Anderson, he's walking and he gets to a point where he hands off Pharaoh to someone else, and then we see the woman who makes Cody's gear. She's wearing the Nightmare Family jacket, and she has Cody's ring jacket, which, by the way, was freaking on point.
It looked so good.
He had the epaulets. He had the epaulets that were like trailing gold pieces. It was freaking.
It was
amazing.
phenomenal. It was so good.
And then as he gets to Gorilla, where he's about to walk out, he's got his back to the camera, and the camera is very close in on him, and you just see like the outline of the crown and the face mask coming up, and he puts it on. The same crown and face mask he wore at Mania. So that was so cool.
It was just cool. So perfect. I loved.
So he
comes
out.
Loved it.
He's got the mask on. He does the whole entrance. It was just amazing. Great way to treat the champion. Great way to treat the main event.
Absolutely.
Of SummerSlam. This was another match where, again, we got a little taste of hopefully what we'll see come Netflix. But FU solo chants were going on
all around.
So I saw one thing during this match that I thought was very interesting. Cody Rhodes has, for being a WWE champion, he still has an indie wrestler's mentality.
Right.
Because you saw at one point during the match, he started clapping to get the crowd into clapping. They don't do that in WWE. They don't do that. Like that's a very indie company kind of thing. And I don't see them doing that in WWE at all. But Cody, we talk about it all the time that, since Cody has won the title, he has been like, his relationship with the fans has been something that was built up for quite some time.
For years.
It feels like that's an extension of his, because his entrance was, again, back and forth to the different sides. And, high-fiving and, greeting people. And like, it was everything we expected from Cody as far as fan interaction, but this took it a little step further. Just a small little thing that I think elevated Cody just a little bit.
So before all the shenanigans began, there was, I think, a good starting match where they were both very even killed, very even match, Solo and Cody. I appreciated that they made them both look very strong rather than just one over the other, whereas Solo got a lot of offense, Cody got a lot of offense, and then the Bloodline rules came into effect. But for the most part, the first half of the match was very much an even-keeled Cody versus Solo match. They made Solo feel strong, Cody was strong. I enjoyed that part of it.
The beginning of the match for me, where Cody was going for various moves and Solo was countering or moving out of the way. They mentioned on commentary that, Solo had done his homework on Cody.
Yeah.
And what that beginning of the match did for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other fans, is that it took someone like Solo Sikoa, who is the self-appointed tribal chief, and most fans, I think, don't really believe a credible challenger. It made him look like a credible challenger.
Right?
Like when
absolutely.
I think there was a bit of shock where Cody dropped to the ground and he went for like the uppercut, and Solo just stopped him.
Yeah, he said nope.
He just wait a minute,
just denied him. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
So there was that, but then. And I hate to talk bad about things. I hate to be negative about things, but there was something in this match that really kind of took me out a little bit in the beginning. And again, Solo is, this is Solo's first big main event. Like we're putting a lot on Solo.
Yes.
We're putting a lot of things on him. We're expecting a lot of things out of him. But there were some moments in the ring where you could clearly see Solo talking to Cody.
Right.
He picks him up off the ground and he goes to whip him into the ropes. You can clearly see Solo talking in Cody's ear. And for me, that took me out of it a little bit. I was able to get right back into it.
Well, because they were just because it was just such a great match.
The match was very good. We had Cody hit some crazy stuff. We had a very good looking superplex from him.
Yep.
We had what I'm calling the super Cody cutter off the top rope.
Yeah, the super Cody cutter, right.
And what was great, and then the steel stairs.
Yes.
When they did the steel stairs spot where the steel stairs actually hit the ring ropes and bounced back and almost on Cody. Like I said to Sonia, I'm like, did you see those?
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Insane,
but then all the shenanigans start to happening. The Bloodline comes out. Only two of them at first. It was Tama and Tonga first. They came out, and then the surprises came.
Yes.
First one to come back, of course, my favorite wrestler, Kevin Owens, was the first one to come back out and start evening the odds. Obviously, it didn't work in his favor just yet. And then the surprise number 2 was the Apex Predator himself, the returning Randy Orton, to once again even the odds for Cody with Solo.
And once we had RKO in the ring, we saw a really interesting chain go on where Randy hits an RKO.
Yep.
KO hits a stunner, and KO goes to the top rope and delivers a gorgeous, absolutely perfect swanton.
Oh, if there's one thing that he's amazing at, it's those swanton. It's a thing of beauty. So good. So amazing.
When he flies through the air, it's
nuts. It's nuts. It's why he's one of the best in my eyes, because he can do it all. He's so good. But then there was all the teases of, is Solo going to win now? Because then who came out? The wolf of the new bloodline.
Well, we do need to mention that KO and Randy ran off Tama Tonga and Tongaloa into the crowd.
They ran him out of the crowd, so then that sort of evened the odds.
It evened everything up. And
until Fatu came out, and
Fatu is so talented.
He's so crazy in the ring.
He's the most talented wrestler the Bloodline has ever had. And my wife was like, you don't think Roman could do those things, or you don't think Rock could do those things? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you don't think that like The Rock in his prime could have done that? I'm like, no, I do not.
No, I do not.
No, I do not. I really don't. I think that Jacob Fatu is so ridiculously talented, and
he's so good.
That they have wanted him for a long time, and they finally made it happen. And I think that I think what they're doing with him is good, because it
Yes.
seems to me like they're using him sparingly.
Yeah.
Because he's so good. You don't want people to get used to like long matches with him just being
Right.
crazy good all the time. You want it to be special attractions. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say that, yeah, because I think they want. Well, I think their worry in the beginning when they signed him was that they didn't want him to outshine Solo as the tribal chief.
Yes.
So they used him sparingly, but I feel a little bad for him because I think, like someone just said in the comment, I think he injured his knee when he went off the top rope and did that splash to Cody through the announce table. He looked like his knee hit the corner, and from there on out he couldn't even stand up. I think he hopefully it's not a serious injury, but it looked like his knee was pretty banged up.
So here's my question. What does Jacob Fatu have against office chairs?
Every time he just throws them around.
Every time, like anytime he does an announce table movie,
he just throws them around.
Office chairs go, and
office chairs go everywhere.
He was sitting on the ground throwing office
chairs.
Like,
he was so mad that he was
against office chairs.
A lot. He has a lot against office chairs. He has problem with office chairs.
So
but
then,
so
then we get the big return.
The big surprise, the OTC. The original tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, came back, and mind you, he didn't even run. He just walked gingerly. He did what Reigns always does, even though he was, and I'm pretty sure he had the biggest pop of the night by far.
So. Yeah.
Leaps and bounds, and I love that they teased at first where they made us think for a second that he didn't know where he was gonna go, and as soon as he hit the ring, he just punched Solo,
Superman
speared him
immediately. Yep.
And then I loved the subtle acknowledgement when you see Cody laying there on the ropes just staring at him, and Reigns just goes, gives him a nod, walks out.
Well, the camera, he said something in the entranceway, and I want to say it was something akin to it's your time for now, but the problem was the camera angle was off to the side,
right
here. So it was like off to the side and back a little bit. So you're only getting like the corner of his mouth. So it was a little hard to tell what he said, but they did catch him in the entranceway right before it went off, where he was standing there and he was looking at the ring and he just pointed. He did like the point to the O.
Yeah.
Like they.
Yeah.
Right
it was perfect. Yeah, it was so good. I love the updated Reigns theme. It is a remix of the Bloodline theme.
It's a remix.
Yeah, I love the remix theme.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
He came out to a remixed version of the Bloodline theme.
Yeah, which was very cool. I love that he now has his own like solo theme now. Now it's his and not just the Bloodlines.
Yes.
He wrecked house left. Cody gets his I think fourth Crossroads on Solo because he already did, I think, 3 before that.
Yep.
Got the pin, and Cody is still, I think, the only belt that did not change hands of the night. Still, Liv. Yes. 2 out of, but still 4 titles changed hands last night. I want to say that's the first time that's happened in a while too, where 4 different titles changed hands in one pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. It's quite possible.
I just can't think of the last time that a major show happened where almost every belt changed hands in one shot.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it was just, I think, the fact that we had all of this, gold on the line.
Yeah,
I think really. Really made a difference in the show. It made it feel like something important.
Yeah,
it really kind of just really made it different.
Absolutely,
really made it an interesting show. I said to Sonia, I was really looking at shows this year so far. WrestleMania 40 was just an absolute banger, but I feel like this is probably the best show that they've done since then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can agree with that. I think
if they're really trying to push the SummerSlam 2 nights in 2 years from now, they're really trying to bring it back to prominence. So how do you do that? You have a big match. This is why I said earlier on the show there, where I felt like whereas Mania 40 was the reset, this was the reboot.
So
this was the big reboot to, I guess, the next chapter in,
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing about where we're at right now. So we are looking at, let's see, May, June, July. So we are 4 months out from WrestleMania 40.
Yep.
Cody Rhodes is the only person that was champion at WrestleMania 40 that's still champion.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes is
it.
Like
that's it.
Every other title has changed hands, which is insane to think about.
It is.
Again, maybe we're trying to build something here. Maybe we're, especially with Cody, maybe we're trying to build something where, Cody is kind of like the center of this title universe. Like he's the grand bearer of all this title stuff. Now, it'll be interesting to see where they go with Gunther.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a lot, I think, riding on his title run as well. So I think that, and again, nothing against Damian Priest, but I think that maybe, the fact that he won it from a cash in, and then, he had a lot going on with the Judgment Day stuff. I don't think his title reign was ever as prominent as it really could have been. I think that Gunther having the title on Raw is going to make that title as important as the title Cody holds on SmackDown.
And I think that's the goal now, right? Is that because when Reigns had the Undisputed Championship and Rollins had the World Heavyweight Championship, Reigns would constantly allude that is the second great belt to my belt. It's number 2. You were always number 2. I'm number 1. Now that Cody's champion and Gunther's champion, they could make them both prominent and have the same weight rather than one being more important than the other. I see, once again, maybe not as long as, say, Reigns or whoever, but I do see another hopefully long reign with Gunther as champion going forward.
Too, yeah.
I hope that he gets just as much of a long reign as he had when he was UK champion, when he was NXT champion, when he was IC champion. They need to give him another unstoppable reign and build someone new that they can that will make you think, who can beat this unstoppable force.
Absolutely. All right. So let's do this on a scale of 1 to 5. What do you give last night's?
Right.
Yes, I keep forgetting.
No, it's fine. Honestly, I greatly enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give it like a not a 5, but like maybe a 4.3.
Okay.
Because I mean, you have to get to a perfect score in wrestling. I think is damn near impossible in any show, because you'd have to have a damn near perfect card, and each match needs to be paced. So I think overall, most of the matches were evenly paced. Some of them were short, some of them were long. Like, if the show felt for me pretty fast overall, like it didn't seem like it was it didn't feel like a long pay-per-view. It felt very much, everything was evenly paced, everything was as it should be. Nothing felt too long, too short, except for maybe the Bayley versus Nia match. But otherwise, every match felt the right tempo, the right time. So it felt right. I will say it was unnecessary that they had the 3-hour pre-show. But
I did not have. I didn't
watch it, but
that. No,
that was crazy. But yeah, no, I overall greatly enjoyed the show. I think a 4.3 is a valid number for me. What about you?
So I'm going to give this one as I said before, I feel like, with the exception of WrestleMania 40, this is the best show they've done so far this year. So I'm giving this one a 4.75.
There you go.
I feel like every match for me was enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
I did not hate any of the matches.
Nope.
I thought all the title changes and people keeping their titles were what should have happened.
Yep.
I felt that was very appropriate. I like some of the seeds that were planted as to where things are going now.
Yes.
I'm happy that Drew McIntyre won, because that made my wife happy, but also because I think that it was the right decision.
Yes.
To keep the feud going. So yeah, I would give it a 4.75 because I really enjoyed this show.
Same. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So what was your match of the night if you had to pick one?
If I had to pick one.
Yeah.
Match of the night. Let me go through my list real quick. Honestly, I would. Oh God, so hard. I'm torn between Zayn and Breaker and Punk and Drew McIntyre, because for as fast as Braun and Sami Zayn was, I think it was that should have happened at Money in the Bank.
Right.
Braun should not have had this evenly paced matchup. You've been building him for months as this unstoppable freak, and they did that here where Braun just absolutely destroyed Sami Zayn and beat him.
And that's what I've been saying on Monday nights is that they're making him look weak doing all these things.
So now that Braun is actually, I think for me that ending made that match and that feud right with me. It sit right after the win. But also the Punk and Drew thing, just because of everything that happened with the story, with and I thought it was a funny but true line. I don't remember who said it, but I think it was Cole that said CM Punk was the one who lost for CM Punk. He himself was the reason why he lost. It wasn't Rollins. It wasn't Drew McIntyre. It was the fact that he had locked in the Anaconda Vice and stopped because he saw the bracelet and pulled it off instead of just finishing the job.
Exactly.
So I thought that was a really good note that I think Cole said.
And then he let himself get wrapped up with Seth Rollins when he saw the bracelet.
Yep. So in this instance, CM Punk was the one that cost CM Punk his own match.
Yeah, I would have to go with Drew and CM Punk just because I thought it was a great match from start to finish. I loved the storytelling. I loved everything that they did with it. I thought it was fun. It was, to me, it was the match I was most looking forward to because I already knew Gunther was going to win. I already knew Liv and Rhea was going to be about Dom. So Cody, Solo, whatever happened there is whatever happened there. I wasn't like super invested in that. But I think this was Drew and Punk to me felt like a main event match without being the main event.
Oh
match.
Yeah, it felt like such a huge deal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
I liked that one. All right. Well, now that we have appropriately gone over the SummerSlam card, let's talk a little bit about this week. As we mentioned again earlier, we've got some schedule changes coming up this week that we want to alert everybody about.
Yes.
Tomorrow night, Chilling with the OC has been canceled for tomorrow night. We will not be covering Monday Night Raw, but we've got a good reason. In fact,
very good reason.
Great reason. It's a great reason. We are debuting the debut episode of Grappling with the Grooves.
Oh yeah!
Tomorrow night at 10:15 on the YouTube channel. This is our new monthly show where we will be talking the world of music with the world of professional wrestlers.
Yes,
and we have two very special guests. Number one, Shay McCoy of the Outfielders and professional wrestling fame. Shay McCoy is one of our favorites. Has been on the show before
multiple times
with Weber. She's been here multiple times, and we're super excited to have her. She is huge into music, always going to concerts, so we're excited to talk music with her.
Super pumped.
And our second special guest joining our 4-person roundtable is Kenny Pete. Is the drummer of the Mystery Men, who coincidentally provide 99.9% of the music we use for our intros. We are super happy to have the two of them on the show joining us. So that'll be Monday night at 10:15.
Yes,
please join us for this brand new show we're doing.
Brand new endeavor.
Then, of course, on Friday night, we've got the Chilling with the Bros, which this week will be chilling with one bro.
One bro. That's me.
Who knows if anybody will be hopping in or jumping in.
Who knows?
I will be at a baseball game, but who knows? I might jump in from the baseball game. We'll see. So anyways, we've got Chilling with the Bros on Friday night. And then, of course, next Sunday, got our big interview with Cheeseburger debuting next Sunday. Yes, the world-famous Cheeseburger. Owner and head trainer at the Worldwide Dojo, also the Labor of Love first ever citywide champion. He's had a couple defenses now under his belt, and he's just loving life as a champion. He is killing it. So again, while you're waiting for all of that, head over to our YouTube channel. You can check out all of our interviews from the Real Rumble.
So much fun.
They are vast and many. Let's just run them down quickly here.
Real quick, let's go.
Exclusive interview with Virgil, the new owner of the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. Get to talk some cool stuff with him. Jim Murray. Famous to make his third appearance on our show. So we get to talk to Jim Murray about all things nachos and world traveling.
All the things.
We talk to Ben the Bean, who is a Catchpoint trainee right now. And we're super excited to be able to show you that interview where we chat with him a good bit.
Yep.
We get to chat with the Last Light.
Yes.
Tag team consisting of the upstanding Dylan Mesh and the Rabbit Honey Badger Ryan Mooney. Great conversation with them.
Yes.
We get to talk to Avery Good, professional wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Who is also Avery Good, wrestling commentator for the LVAC. Avery, a good friend of the show. He was on very early.
Yes, he was.
Actually, before we even had YouTube, he was on our podcast.
It was audio only.
Yeah, so very exciting to talk to him. Get to chat with Big Dan Champion again, the man who may or may not be retiring come September.
And who was our first video podcast.
Our first video podcast guest.
Yes.
That's correct. So we get another great conversation with Big Dan. Then for the second week in a row, we got an interview with our good friend Drew Gulak,
baby.
Of Catchpoint Wrestling, of WWE fame, of Chikara fame, the legal eagle himself, a member of the Gentleman's Club in Chikara with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy and the Swamp Monster. Just another great conversation with Drew Gulak, great guy. And then we checked two huge names off our bucket list.
Two huge names.
We get to talk to Hallowicked.
Yes.
Amazing interview. And then, of course, we get to talk to the man, Ultramanthus Black.
Absolutely.
Super excited for that. So head on over and check those out.
Check them all out.
Like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on socials. Do all of those great things. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate the questions. Join us.
Absolutely.
Chilling with the OC whenever you can. Join our Discord. Join
the Discord.
We always have the Discord stuff up on the Chilling with the OCs. So
yes, they're all there.
Stop on by, chill, ask some questions, have some conversations. We love to talk to you guys. And of course, we can't do this without you. So we thank you for your support. We enjoy meeting you guys. We enjoy talking to you guys. So Andy says, great show today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you
for everybody that joined us. Thank you for
we appreciate
all
you.
Of that stuff.
Appreciate you all.
So that's going to wrap up this week for us. We'll be back next week with our cheeseburger interview, and we will see you guys later.
On behalf of Wild LLC, this has been the Opinion City Podcast. It has been your pleasure.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.